1 through 14, the NFL playoff starting quarterbacks. And here they are. Mahomes, numero uno, Joe Burrow right behind. Allen, Hurts, Herbert. Has Lamar 6, Brady 7. Look where Dak Prescott is. I don't agree with that at all. I'm not a big Dak guy, and we'll hear from Voch here in a second what he thinks. He's not proven he can win the quote-unquote big one. He was awful last week, however much stock you want to put in that game when they were just demolished by the Washington football Wizards. I'm really surprised he has Brock Purdy so far down the list. And Daniel Jones way up on the list. Here is Voch Lombardi. Short notice. We appreciate the big man's time today. How are you, my man? How's life treating you down there?
Good morning. Good morning. We just working. We have to keep working. I probably won't get a break until June. Cowboys are going on right now. That'll be over in, February because I said so. College football is over, so I'm about to dive right into draft season. So, we're just busy,
Did I just hear you say the Cowboys won't be over your coverage of the Cowboys till February? Did you just say that?
Yeah, and everybody in the chat, everybody, backstage on camera, we know what that means. So, yeah, for sure. What I'm saying.
Oh, well, now, come on now, Voch. You're not a man to duck the tough questions. We've had you on here before. And by the way, the reason you keep rolling so long into June is because you do a big, huge preview of the draft and players and teams, and we'll catch up with you when that time comes moving forward. This is like something out of a movie, hoping this matchup here, but for so many reasons. Talking about Dallas and Tampa Bay.
Sure.
Dallas, I was trying to explain to the people who watch our show on a daily basis, all the years that I broadcast in the NFL, it is mind-boggling the amount of coverage that the Dallas Cowboys get. And I'm not talking about nationally. I'm talking about just locally. It's mind-boggling how this team is followed. Jerry Jones has his own radio show, the coach, quarterback, everybody and his brother. Aikman weighs in, living down there in Dallas. Dak Prescott. Give me in a nutshell, Voch, what you think at the end of the day of Dak Prescott. You just saw Orlovsky has him way down on that quarterback rankings for all the quarterbacks that are going to be in the playoffs. Is that fair, unfair? Your thoughts?
Listen, man, my whole thing about Cowboy coverage and how big media covers Cowboy coverage, this is where I give you credit. Shouts out to Thom, right? Is you want to go to like the gritty side of it. You want to go to the internet side of, Cowboy coverage, right? You don't just want to listen to the sensationalized, some guy, I don't know how y'all do about calling names. I call names all the time. But some character on the 4-letter network go, I'd rather have Teddy Bridgewater than Dak Prescott, And I think that, that comes with views. That comes with this sensationalism. That comes with, hey, Cowboy fans are watching, and when they're upset, they tend to click on us, right? There's this other ex-football player that's on this other network that's, Dak Prescott is ass. Okay, cool. Well, you have to admit something. If you dislike Kellen Moore, if you dislike Dak Prescott, if you dislike CeeDee Lamb, you dislike that offense, somebody got to be good because since he's been back, they've been number one in XYZ categories, right? So, I'm sure if you, put him in a dark room with a broken light, put a gun to their head, like, hey, do you like Dak Prescott? Is he a top 5 quarterback, top 8 or so quarterback? They'll say yes. I say top 5, that's just my personal opinion. If somebody says top 6, 7, or 8, I'm not going to argue with anyone. But I like to get into my nuances, right? Because, I'm not just going to let this little argument get away. Hey, why do you have Dak Prescott ranked here? Is it the numbers? Is it the play? Is it the playoff wins? Because on that list that came out, Dak Prescott has more playoff wins than 7 of those guys. Since he's been in the league, he has more wins than about, 6 or so of those guys that are ranked in front of him. Mm-hmm. We just talked about numbers. I just said he's number one. Him and the offense are number one in these categories since he's been back. So where is this coming from? As a Cowboys content creator covering the Cowboys, I just do understand that there is hate that comes with the Cowboys, but that's why we're America's team. They can, some backup tight end gets coverage or something, or the backup pass rusher robs a bank and we care about it, right? Once upon a time, we're like, well, Voch, the Patriots won all these Super Bowls. Why aren't they America's team? Well, because when they're not playing, you don't care about it. You look on national coverage, they're talking about the Cowboys every single day, and even I hate it, because I think a lot of times they go out there and they give this half-ass attempt at Cowboy coverage. I watch film. Like, I watched the broadcast view, then the broadcast view again, all 22, two more times, offense and defense, right? So I got a really good idea of what's going on. And every time I watch film, I find something different. You mean to tell me some analyst on some four-letter network watched the game one time and maybe wrote something down, and they may have been texting their friend, or they may have been eating hot wings, or they may have been arguing with their wife, and they come away with an accurate summary of what's going on the field? No, that's not the case here. So I really don't care what big media has to say. If Dan Orlovsky thinks that Daniel Jones is better than Dak Prescott, knock yourself out, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on that. When you watch the film, and look, the Bengals played Tampa Bay this year. They looked good for a half, and then they were awful for a half. You got to go way back to the first week of the season when the Cowboys lost at home 19-3, I think it was, to the Buccaneers, and that's a game where Dak broke his thumb. And, Dallas has obviously been good since then. Tampa Bay's been mediocre at best since then. In fact, since then they've been a 500 team. But when you watch the film, what concerns you about Tampa Bay?
Tampa's not good, man. And that's what concerns me, actually, because the Cowboys are one of these teams where they play down to competition, right? My offense in particular, right? The Cowboys can drop 40 on this Eagles defense. They can, go and drop, 40 on the Vikings. They'll really get up for these bigger games, right? But then when it's time to play, insert Houston, Texas, insert watching football Wizards, they kind of yawn a little bit. They go, all right, cool, we'll get past the watching football Wizards. And look, if that's going to be the case, that's fine, because when you get to the playoffs, we don't really have bad teams when we get there. But the NFC South is so bad this year, there just happened to be a bad team in the playoffs this year. The Cowboys got to be the one to play them week one. So I think if the Cowboys were playing any of these bigger teams, I think they would hype themselves up, coach themselves up into playing well versus that good team, because that's the evidence. That's what we've been seeing. But when we roll out against these bad teams, then I think that's what's going to end up happening. So I think, and y'all can call me Homer, whatever. Shouts out to y'all in the chat box. Thank y'all for tuning in to being here. But even you guys can agree that when the Cowboys are on, they're on. Yep. But when they're off, they're off. When the Cowboys are doing Cowboy things, they can beat any team in this league, and I stand by that. This Eagles defense with 15 Pro Bowlers, that goes out there 24 for 24 versus zone coverage, 3 touchdowns, beats them, drops 40 on them. But we shell up versus the Washington team there. So I think that when we get to the playoffs, once we get over this Tom Brady hurdle, all the games are going to bring that anxiousness back. Oh, we got the Eagles. Let's go. Hey, let's get up to beat the Eagles. Oh, the 49ers. I'm terrified of them. Let's go beat the 49ers. But my fear now is that we're going to play down to the Tampa Bay competition. But hopefully Mike McCarthy doesn't let that happen.
All right, well, Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones comes out earlier in the week. They have full confidence in Mike McCarthy. But you and I both know, Voch, the way it is down in Dallas, if things don't go the Cowboys' way, and you just acknowledged it's a fair argument that there have been games this year where when Dallas plays really good teams, the Cowboys tend to play well. When they play the middle-of-the-road teams or below-average teams, as you said, they drop down to their competition level. So if things don't go well for the Cowboys on Monday night, is Mike McCarthy in trouble? Should he be in trouble?
I'm not sure, because Mike McCarthy can do things like, win 4 games with Cooper Rush. He can do things like that. He can unify a locker room. He can take a locker room that quit on the previous coaching staff and, make those dudes not quit on him. I do think Mike McCarthy's good at some of those things. And I really fear the whole grass is greener thing. Right, because you can have Mike McCarthy, you can have Kellen Moore, and you go, hey, man, these dudes win you football games. These dudes get you double-digit wins back-to-back, playoff appearances back-to-back. These guys have you number one in these categories. But, man, like, what if we quit to go find something better and we end up getting worse? That's my big worry about that. I do think Mike McCarthy's a good coach. I think he brings championship pedigree to the Cowboys, right? But if we're going to win, I think it's going to have to be by the players. Honestly, it's this defense that hasn't been as top five as they once was. They're going to have to be top five again. And Dak Prescott's going to go out there, and the whole Dak Prescott turnover thing is overblown. I just think it's a reason for people to have conversation about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott isn't notoriously a turn the ball over guy. PFF, which I don't always go to PFF for their grades, but I like their weird number stats. Out of Dak Prescott's 15 or so interceptions, like 7 of them wasn't his fault. And that's according to them. Y'all can look it up yourself. So I like aggressive Dak. I like push the ball downfield Dak. I just need if we drop 40 on the Eagles, I just don't need my defense to give up 35. If that makes sense. So
that's what I was going to ask you, Voch. Is when the Bengals and the Cowboys played, and again, that's 1 week after the Tampa Bay game, so it's the second week of the year. The Bengals were putting together 4/5 of a brand new offensive line. Micah Parsons is running all over the place. Quarterback sacks, blah blah blah. What has happened to that defense since early in the year, as you mentioned, that they were top 5? Is there anything in particular that you see that's kept it from being as dominant as it was early in the year?
Well, teams and units are going to go through change over 17 games. Guys get hurt. Teams watch film on you and figure out how to beat you. And then once they figure out how to beat you, we make the adjustments. Once upon a time, teams just used to throw at Trey Diggs all day. We're just going to throw the ball at Trey Diggs, and Trey Diggs gets 14 interceptions. Teams stop throwing the ball at Trey Diggs. Now he has to figure out how to, not get double moved when they do go at him, right? Michael Parsons is a guy that, hey, we just going to hold the ball all day. Joe Burrow did it. We're just going to hold the ball all day and just throw the ball deep on Dallas all day. And then sacks happen, right? And then you got to go, all right, well, let's get rid of the ball quickly. So I think the Cowboys haven't been getting home because teams scheme on the fact that, hey, those dudes get home. But the Cowboys are still top 5. They second in sacks right now, but they're still top in quarterback hits and pressures. So the pass rush is still a great pass rush. It's just your job as a team, as a coach, a coaching unit or whatever, to take those Dallas strengths and superpowers and go, all right, man, we can't let Michael Parsons beat us. If you just walk into a game, you're not worried about Michael Parsons, then he's going to destroy you. Or D-Law or Dorrance Armstrong, they destroy you. But now it's the end of the year. It's week 19? It's week 19 now. So now we got this long whiteboard of people that we need to be worried about and people that we're not so worried about. So we played 17 games for a reason. Things are going to change throughout the year. It's just Dallas's job, Dan Quinn's job, the defense's job to go, all right, that's their chess move. This needs to be ours for us to get back to success.
So at the end of the day, Voch, if I hear you right, you think Big D gets by Tampa Bay on Monday night and advances on to the next round more than likely. That would mean a date with Philadelphia, more than likely.
100%, absolutely. And this game is about matchups. Watching Tom Brady and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it has been a weird thing. Because they'll go out there and be terrible for 4 quarters. 4 quarters in 10 minutes. But then if the game is close at the end versus these bad teams, versus these Arizona teams, these Falcons teams, Panthers or whatever, if it come down to like one drive at the end of the game, sure, Tom Brady will pull out all of his magic points and try to win there. But I think if you get the game out of Tom Brady's reach, I think that's how you beat him, right? So I don't think this is on the Cowboys defense this week. I think it's on the Cowboys offense. I think if Dak Prescott and company, if they go out and they're efficient, they give Tony, please give Tony Pollard football. They give Tony Pollard the football. They ignore Zeke. They throw to the good guys. They don't throw to the bad guys. If Dak throws the ball to the other team being aggressive, I'll take a Dak interception as long as I get 3 Dak touchdowns. I can live with, Brett Favre football. Or Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes football, but I don't want to talk about that. I can live with that if we put up 28, 35 points by the end of the day, because I don't think the Tampa Bay offense is going to be able to score that much. The past couple of weeks, I don't think they've passed 20, but they throw the ball with Tom Brady the most in the league. So, I got Cowboy win, unless Cowboys get in their own way.
All right. Okay, Voch. Well, you're the man. I can't thank you enough for taking the time on short notice to come join us today. Everybody's going to be watching that game. Go ahead. You going to call me an old man again, or what are you doing now?
I will not. So
you already did.
Well, okay, old man. Cool. So y'all are college football guys, right? So, what do y'all think about the whole TCU debacle?
Well, let me
What do you
tell you
think about
something,
that?
Voch. I have skin in the game. You don't know this, but I have a daughter that's in college at TCU. So
Okay.
it has been a lot of fun to be a part of that whole ride through the season. Sonny Dykes has done an unbelievable job down there. They earned their way into the college football playoff. There are others who feel like they should have been there. I think it's safe to say at the end of the day, if you watched the season, outside of a hiccup here, a hiccup there for all the teams that play college football, no contest. The two best teams were Georgia and Ohio State. That should have been the national championship game.
So, do you think with these college football playoff selection committees, right? I'm just gonna ask you this question, right? Do you think that the playoffs, the 14 playoffs, I don't want to go to 6, I just add more bad teams. Do you think it should be the 4 best teams or it should be the 4 teams that lost the least lately? Because that's my problem with it, right? They make this the 4 teams that lost the least lately. And that's how you get teams that end up sneaking in the back. And look, every single year we get the same stuff, right? We'll get these UCF fans and be like, hey, can we play? But they get beat by some SEC team in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Bowl or something like that. You know what I mean? Cincinnati was a team like that. You know, Notre Dame will sneak in because they haven't really had that test, and Alabama will smoke them, right? Should it not be a situation where we go, hey, look, I understand Alabama lost 2 games this year. They're in the SEC. Their top opponents that they lost to, that wouldn't have happened to them. Like last Sunday, like Alabama wouldn't have lost by 50 in front of everybody. Right?
No,
Shouldn't that be the case?
I don't think there's – and I think that's why, Voch, you're going to 12 teams. You can say there are going to be some crummy teams in there, but I think what you're going to do is, to your point, is you're going to weed out the teams that ultimately don't belong there, UCF, whoever it might be. I thought TCU deserved to be there. They were undefeated until they got to the Big 12 championship game. That was an unbelievable game down in your neck of the woods down there. They had earned the right to be in the top 4. So during the year did Ohio State and Michigan. I mean, look, Michigan was undefeated. Ohio State had one hiccup. Every team's going to have a hiccup. Georgia was undefeated. Alabama had their chance. I mean, in the crossover this year, they didn't play Georgia this year. They lost to Texas A&M. Texas A&M. Are you kidding me? You, me, and 9 other dudes could have beaten that team this year. So, I mean, come on. Come on. Alabama can scream and what. I just want to know, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. I just read this yesterday. Whoever the head coach is at Syracuse, what's his name? Do you know?
Fella,
I'm drawing
yeah,
a blank.
boy.
I mean, he did a hell of a job this year. They were better than they've been in years. So obviously the guy's a good coach. But one thing he is not is somebody who should be getting a vote as to what the top 25 looks like at the end of the year in the final poll. That guy put Ohio State 7th. Are you kidding me? How does that guy get a vote? 7th? Behind who? Georgia? Okay. Michigan? Okay. They beat him. Right? We're going to 12 games. You're going to weed out all that nonsense. 12 teams.
But I even think though in college football, all right. Listen, we have to sit down and be adults, all right? We have to sit down and go, okay, listen. I understand Ohio State lost to Michigan, all right. Ohio State's a better team than Michigan, but we know this. Like rivalry games do weird things happen. Playing up to competition, weird things happen. To my Bama point, right? Every team gives Alabama their best shot, just like Cowboys sometimes, right?
Well, they do. You sound like an Alabama homer, Voch. You sound like an Alabama homer.
I actually don't have a college football team. I like coaches, I like schemes, and I like players. But just my whole thing is the first thing that just popped in my mind is there is this narrative that Alabama didn't belong there, but the team that was there, it wouldn't happen to them. You know what I mean? So I just got questions.
All right, okay. All right, let me ask you one draft question before I get you out of here, because we were talking about this on Tuesday after the national championship game on Monday night. Okay. Stetson Bennett. All right, we've reached a point in the NFL. There was a time there, and I've heard Sean Payton talk about this, where when Drew Brees signs as a free agent, Brees was not a big man, not like the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows and the Dak Prescotts, on and on and on, Herberts of the world. But Breeze was one of the all-time greats. So whatever you're shaking your head. You're already answering the question. No chance Bennett gets a shot in the NFL? None?
I mean, he can get a shot in the NFL. I mean, Pat White got a shot in the NFL. Pick one of these TCU quarterbacks that got a shot. Yeah, he'll get a. Josh Dobbs playing
Wait
football
a minute.
right
Andy
now.
Dalton had a pretty good run in the NFL now. Hold on now. He took six teams to the playoffs. Come on.
Not him. It was not him. It was one of these other TCU quarterbacks, little running quarterbacks, but they went to the league and played tight end or something. One of those guys, right? Whatever. Long story short, listen, Tom Brady and Drew Brees, right? They're the exceptions. They're not the norm. And the thing about Tom Brady and Drew Brees, they make people feel like the non-talent dude. Their talent shoulder up. But I'm talking about shoulder down guys, right? Like they make people feel like the low talent dude can have a shot. And every time we see one of these low talent dudes, what we say? Oh, he could be Tom Brady or Drew Brees. But for every dude that could be Tom Brady or Drew Brees, there's 300 other dudes in that same archetype that end up not working out, right? You have to have arm talent. You have to have, legs. Run. You have to have some type of. You got to give me more. And look, shouts out to Stetson Bennett, but he's had some of the best college football teams around him of all time, right? All he got to do is throw the ball. He has made some throws. Shouts out to Stetson Bennett. He's made throws, but these have been wide open ass throws, or these have been schemed open throws, or his defense will bail him out of some nonsense, right? At the end of the day, you can win college football games. Tim Tebow's probably the best college football quarterback of all time besides Joe Burrow or whatever, right? But when you get to the league, things just get different, man. And, just because you were this dude in college, this good college quarterback guy, we stop looking at what you did in college and we just look at your traits. Stetson Bennett ain't got traits. Shouts out to him. Duggar from TCU, shouts out to him. But I don't think he's going to be a college – I don't think he's going to be a pro football. He just ain't got the traits. He's a good player for this level, but traits. But, that's my answer.
All right.
Sorry
Paul Voch is beating down our guys at TCU. He's beating them down. I can't believe he's beating them down this bad. One of the great stories in recent memory, and he's just kicking them down. All right,
How about this though? One more thing. You know who has a whole bunch of traits? C.J. Stroud. And when you watch him, you see the traits, and you go, "Hey, that dude is a college. That dude is an NFL quarterback." You look at Stetson Bennett and go, "Yeah, maybe." Right? And then these dudes in college, if you look at them and guarantee that they're pro-level quarterbacks, they still may not even be good. So I'm always taking the talent and not the...
Well, I'll tell you the dude that I'm not sold on, and a lot of people are, apparently, Voch, and you've watched him, is the kid out of Kentucky. Now, he matches the prototypical big, strong, Levis, Will Levis.
Yeah. Will Levis.
I mean, I look at a guy like him, and again, I'm no evaluator, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. I have this conversation with Brian Billick all the time. I look at C.J. Stroud, and I look at Will Levis, and I say, are you kidding me? And there are a lot of people that tell you that they think Will Levis is a better player. I don't see it. Maybe you see it.
So there's this new thing in the National Football League where offense coordinators they make it easier for these dudes that have talent, right? So shouts out to Bills fans, by the way. And what I'm going to say in 2023 may sound away, but they would think that this Josh Allen was bad thing was a narrative. It wasn't a narrative. Josh Allen was terrible, but he had this baseline set of traits that some dude that takes players could take those traits and he could fix small things. And now Josh Allen is a good player, right? I think that's what they're seeing with Levis. To be fair, that might be what they're seeing with the kids from Florida, Richardson.
Yeah.
He's not a good player right now, but he has traits. And if you have traits, these pro-level coordinators, these pro-level scout guys, they can take those traits and do something with them, right? My whole thing about Stetson Bennett is Stetson Bennett ain't got none of those traits. Like Will Levis has many more traits than Stetson, regardless of who looks like the better quarterback right now.
Yes, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Voch, great catching up with you. We get closer to the draft, or if the Cowboys can sneak by this week, we'd love to have you come back. I tell you, Voch, sure. I think they're in trouble. I got to tell you, I think they're in trouble. That's just me.
Well, that's okay. And whenever I come back, and if the Cowboys win, I will show up with great vengeance and furious anger and put on a good show for your audience there. So,
I'll buy you a 3-way of Skyline chili or Gold Star chili.
Appreciate it. You have a good one.
All right, buddy. Great to see you, Voch. All the best. Godspeed ahead. Great dude. Love having Voch on. Now, there's a guy that brings it.